So Mondays are about a single painting, and Thursdays, also at 11 o'clock, are about a theme. So next Thursday we'll be talking about tulips, actually. But today we're talking about this painting. And this is by Vermeer. So it is imaginatively titled a girl standing, or a young woman standing at a virginal. Very descriptive titles. And it dates to about 1670, 1672, somewhere around there. It's in the National Gallery in London. So Vermeer's paintings have become quite coveted in many ways, and famous. Certainly most people will have heard of Vermeer. Vermeer didn't paint very many paintings a year, probably because he and his wife had 11 children, and he, to presumably keep these children, had to work as an art dealer, but he and his wife also ran a tavern. So busy, and probably didn't get too much time to paint. And then to cap it all, he upped and died at the age of 43. So died quite young. We don't really know what he died of. It was all quite sudden. So this is one of only 34, sometimes I read 35 paintings that have actually formally been attributed to Vermeer. There are a couple more that are in contention, but 34, 35. So this is one of them. So a young lady standing at a virginal. Let's take a look. I always feel like she might have just paused playing. She's playing this musical instrument, and I feel like she's just paused because she's heard somebody maybe come into the room, or she's talking to somebody, or has been sort of interrupted perhaps by somebody, because she's looking out at us, which means that there is automatically a relationship between us as the viewer. She seems to be looking at us as the viewer, and this lady in the painting. And so if we are the viewer, this would suggest that we're looking at a real scene. So the interaction, real scene, we have to be careful with that. We definitely have to be careful with that. It looks like a real scene. Why wouldn't it be? Perfectly normal, nothing terribly strange going on here. But 17th century Dutch art can very often, in fact almost always, has some kind of hidden meaning. There are depths to these paintings. So it's very, I was going to say dangerous. It's not. Yeah. It's just to look at them as just an image, and to take what you see on the surface, quite literally, is not maybe to get the whole scenario or the whole message that the artist is trying to convey. She's playing then a virginal. So a virginal was a musical instrument, a keyboard instrument that was very popular in Northern Europe amongst the upper classes. You can tell that she's a lady with wealth, and especially in the 17th century. Don't really know where the origins of the name virginal came from, but like the title of the painting, it's somewhat descriptive, because this was an instrument that was often played by young ladies, so virginal. And because of its name, because often played by young ladies, the connotations are all there, that it's to do with love, this instrument in particular, but instruments in general, actually. If you see somebody playing a musical instrument, or see people singing in paintings, this is symbolic of harmony, and sometimes, or quite often, depending on the context of the painting, but certainly here, I think, courtship, and sometimes even the act of making love. So all of these connotations are wrapped up in just this instrument here that she is playing. And if you weren't sure that this entire painting is sort of framed within the context of love, then you've got a massive, great big Cupid, painting of Cupid on the back wall to reassure you. So this Cupid, quite interesting actually. This Cupid is a painting that it comes from an emblem book. I'll come back to the emblem book in a second, but it's a painting that has been in the news fairly recently. Last year, they discovered that, they being the great they, art historians and painting restorers actually discovered that there is another painting that that contain, or that has the same Cupid within it. So it's this painting, and this is by Vermeer. This is an earlier painting, late 1650s, and you can see that there's an area, sort of looks like an area in shadow on the wall behind this lady reading by a window. Descriptive titles. They started to really analyse this work, and this is what they found: the same Cupid. So Vermeer does this quite often. He has props essentially that he uses in paintings, and this they knew that there was something underneath this patch of this oblong of rectangle of paint, but it was thought for quite some time that that probably Vermeer had painted over whatever it was. They didn't know what was underneath himself, and then analysis was done on the paint, and it was realised that actually Vermeer intended the Cupid to be in the painting. This is when it's only been half uncovered here, as you can see, and in fact it was only painted over some decades after Vermeer had died. So quite interesting. So this little Cupid is not, as I say, a famous work of art. It is in fact from an emblem book. And what he's doing, as you can see, he's holding up something in his hand, and what he's holding up is a playing card, and he's trampling other playing cards underfoot. And normally this playing card would have, that he's holding up would have a 1 on it, which means basically one true love. So I've got my one true love here. I'm holding it aloft, and all of everybody else, all the other suitors, I am trampling underfoot. I'm not interested. He's omitted the 1 on this playing card. Is that significant, or has he just forgotten to paint it in? And now I know what you're thinking. Is there a 1 on the other playing card in the other painting? We'll never know. You can't see actually my face quite annoyingly is across it, but you couldn't see anyway because this green curtain to the right hand side of the painting actually obscures his hand. So we don't know whether Cupid was intended to be holding a card with a 1 on it or not. So Cupid, a virginal, Cupid on the wall behind. There's even, if I show you, Cupids on the tiles. These are Delft tiles, which are on sort of where the skirting board was. This is quite common for Dutch interiors, 17th century Dutch interiors, to use Delft tiles. I think they were very cheap and plentiful. But yeah, so you can see the one to the right hand side is a Cupid, and then the one in the middle, I don't know whether you can make this out, is actually a sailing ship. And if you look, there are sort of, apart from this Cupid, there are 2 other paintings within this work, one on the wall and one on the Virginal. And they are both parts of probably the same landscape. So sailing ship, landscape, let's have a look at those. Foreign landscape, definitely, because look, it's sort of almost mountainous, isn't it? So this is definitely not the Netherlands. I think we can say that with some certainty. So Cupid, landscape, foreign landscape. In the front of the painting, there is an empty chair. So is this painting possibly alluding to the fact that she is in her home, she is alone, she's playing this musical instrument, and she is thinking about some love that should be sitting in this empty chair but isn't? He's off travelling somewhere, or perhaps she, but let's assume it's a he, is off travelling somewhere. So some love that is abroad. Just going back to the fact that the Cupid doesn't have the 1 on his playing card, and the fact that she's looking out at somebody else, and this somebody else seems to be sitting because the angle that we're looking at, so she seems to be above us. So is she playing or kind of thinking about this one true love that is supposed to be sitting in this seat that is now empty? Or is she thinking about the person that she seems to be quite favourably looking upon? That is a mystery. Or is she thinking about both of them? So, maybe is this why we don't have a 1 on the playing card? Because she doesn't have one true love. She's actually got 2 on the go. A mystery. What I would say, though, is that I think it's quite interesting how she's very much in opposition to the idea, or she's depicted in opposition to the idea of freedom. I always find Vermeer's works quite claustrophobic, actually. So we've got this window over to the left-hand side, and we've got this beautiful sunlight, slightly obscured by the glass, but it is still coming in. Vermeer is a master of painting light. He really is. It's just so soft and sort of golden and atmospheric. He's fantastic at that. But nonetheless, so I kind of almost feel that it's teasing, it's sort of teasing us with this world that is outside this quite enclosed room. And then just look at her. I mean, she's in this stiff petticoat, this dress, it would have been a kind of fancy dress, probably worn for best, boned, so quite she would have been, it's quite trussed up and not very comfortable at all. That's probably why she's standing up. The hair is in tight curls. I don't know whether you can see, but she's got a necklace on, a pearl necklace that's kind of almost strangling her. So there is something, I think, really quite trussed up about her, in opposition to this idea of this lover that is out roaming somewhere abroad, presumably. So is she maybe not as trussed up as she seems with these 2 lovers, or is she, is this empty chair just a red herring, and she's looking at the person that we're standing in for, or does she have 2 lovers? We will never know. I don't think we'll ever know, unless any documentation is found, which is quite unlikely. The Dutch, unlike the Italians, didn't tend to write things down very much. Just finally, before I go, just take another look at this Cupid here. We've got a close-up of this Cupid. I don't think that Vermeer was tending towards sentimentality with this painting, because look at the Cupid. Is he not completely cross-eyed? I think he is. A cross-eyed Cupid. Is he cross-eyed in the other one? Can't really see. I don't think he is. I did have a look at it close up, but I don't think so. So there you go. Cross-eyed Cupid in this wonderful work in the National Gallery, 1670 to 1672 by Vermeer. So let me turn you back on. Let's take these off and turn comments back on. Turn on commenting. So what do we think? Do we think that this trussed up lady has 1 lover? Do we think that she has 2 lovers? Do we think that there is, a spring that is about to uncoil? Or do we think that she is just a normal, ordinary lady who is missing her one true love? Or not missing her one true love? We don't know. Got to wait for comments to come through a little bit. If indeed there are any. This is small, by the way. This is a small work. So this is only just over 50 centimetres by 45 centimetres. So it's a gorgeous little piece, in keeping with most 17th century Dutch art. So would have been for a private home. We don't, as I mentioned, the Dutch didn't really write things down very much, really annoyingly. So we don't know whether it was commissioned or whether Vermeer painted it to then sell on the open market. I hope she was greedy, she had to. I hope she does. You think she looks a little coquettish? Yeah, she could do, couldn't she? Could her love have died? Yeah, possibly. Possibly, but I don't get that really somber feeling within this work. So, but yes, possibly could have died. Hello, Rachel. How are you? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Little bit about a very famous Vermeer painting. All Vermeer paintings are very famous because there are so few of them. Next time I'm talking about tulips. So we did a bit about flowers last Thursday, and we're going to continue talking about flowers, but specifically tulips. So that will be 11 o'clock on Thursday. On Saturday, then I will also post the last part of Patient Griselda. So you'll find out what happens to her if you've been watching my Pepped Up by Painting series. There's also, as someone mentioned earlier, a little bit about, or not a little bit, there's a lot about the Titian paintings on both my website and on my Instagram, so Titian's Poesy. So a lot to keep you going, because it seems that we might be staying at home for just a little bit longer still. So bit disappointing, wasn't it? But I think we'll see what happens this week. Anyway, have a lovely day. Like you're just doing your post for us in the Netherlands. Are you in the Netherlands? Are you in the Netherlands, Gaynor? I'm going to have to stay on now and just find out whether Gaynor's in the Netherlands. But yes, have a lovely day and a lovely week. Oh, fantastic. And I hope to catch up with you on Thursday. Take care. Bye. Bye.